think we're back. Okay. Sorry, YouTube. We don't know what happened, but we fixed it. Hi, everyone else. Thank you all for being very patient. Of course, you get a YouTube. Anyways, other pop culture news. Cam, you got something for us?
Cam just ran in the back room.
Oh.
We just had the What If. That was amazing. What else happened?
What If? The Rick and Morty season finale happened.
Yeah.
That was outstanding. Cam, you got any other pop culture news for us? Yeah, the Hawkeye trailer dropped. There was another trailer that dropped. What was the other trailer? There was something else I linked you to.
I remember the Hawkeye one. That was dope. Kate Bishop's on point.
The Hawkeye one is dope, and apparently it's a Christmas movie. So
yeah, I saw that.
It might wind up usurping Die Hard as the best Christmas movie of all time.
It's gonna be a show.
Oh, it's a show.
It's a show.
Oh, okay. So it's a Christmas show.
It's a Christmas show.
Okay. Oh, that's right. It is a show.
Oh, that's right.
Star Wars what?
Visions.
Visions.
The anime.
The anime. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm gonna watch it, but we'll see.
Oh,
we'll see.
Batman Beyond series coming out.
Oh, Batman Beyond, yes, and our man Hicham Hapchi is. We can announce that, right?
He's on the cover.
He's on the cover for Batman Urban Legends, but we can't announce. Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, we can't announce that. Never mind. I made a mistake. What else? What was the other thing you were saying?
We got. So let everyone know about the covers for Hicham's book this week.
Oh yeah, sad news, guys. If you were waiting to get a Hicham Hapchi Urban Legends, Batman Urban Legends cover, apparently Lunar messed up for once and sent us 1 million C covers, but none of the actual B covers.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what happened, but
Just to give you guys a heads up, Hicham, the actual artist, didn't get a single one. He got the C cover.
even the artist got shorted. So I don't know what Lunar is doing right now, but
Maybe that was a DC. I don't know, man.
maybe they hired some people from Diamond.
Oh God, that's a
Anyways, hey, wouldn't it be nice if our mic was on?
Oh, might be.
Wouldn't it be nice if YouTube could hear us? Norm Macdonald, the SNL actor, passed. Norm Macdonald didn't pass away, did he?
Yeah.
He did?
What?
Norm Macdonald died?
Nobody told me.
I didn't know that. I mean, I knew Trevor, was it Trevor White? Is that his name? Trevor Moore.
Oh.
Whitest Kid You Know. Whitest Kid You Know, Trevor Moore. Not Trevor White from The More Kids You Know. Who's that? Batman the World? Yeah, that's out today.
Well, remember, Batman Day is this weekend.
Oh, that's right, Batman Day. Come see us for free comics on Batman Day, just so you know. Come visit us Saturday, and we'll have just a ton lined up.
Yeah.
It's never really a huge day. Like,
No.
we try to tell people.
Us Batman fans are huge, strong.
Yeah, so come through, please. Come get free comics. Why wouldn't you do this? Why wouldn't you do this? Okay. So Mark Millar, Tommy Lee Edwards, and we're talking about Jupiter's Legacy Requiem. But really, part of this is kind of a prequel. It's sort of the falling out that they had originally and how things played out. I mean, we already sort of know that story, but not in its entirety. We just sort of know the details. You're getting more of the story and how a supervillain heist goes sour in perhaps the most comical of ways. I loved it. The art is amazing, but again, Mark Millar doing what Mark Millar does is just, it's outstanding. The art is great. Tommy Lee Edwards' art is just, it's brilliant. The story is fun, and if you're like me and you're really sad that they canned Jupiter's Legacy, at least you get, a little bit more in the comics. It's great. It's great. I'm having a good time with Requiem. Next is Jeff Lemire, Andrea Sorrentino. I'm trying to wake up, guys, and Dave Stewart. We're talking about Primordial #1. Now, first of all, the art is outstanding. But Andrea Sorrentino, what has Sorrentino worked on? Do you remember, Cam? I recognize this art. I'm not sure which. I mean, it really reminds me of Moon Knight, which, is associated with Jeff Lemire, too. So, Jeff Lemire, father of the modern Moon Knight. This is a story about, space monkeys and how, the space monkeys, 8 minutes after they died, suddenly came back to life and no one told the world. Along with the Russian space dog. Yeah, apparently things are not as they seem in space. And it's a good mystery. It's Jeff doing what he does, where he just weaves a really cool story. I love the way it was told. There's even a Dark Side of the Moon reference, which is really sort of cool looking. And there was a lot of panic. The one scientist that was involved with the program is confused and trying to figure out what's going on. So it's a great mystery, and we're going to see how it unfolds. Just outstanding. And the art is great. You will not be disappointed. That is a number one I think you must get this week. Next is a number one, Kieran Gillian, Dustin Weaver, and Matthew Wilson. This isn't really a number one, though, in that sense. Because is this a one-shot? I think it's a one-shot, is it?
No, I think
It's the Eternals run. It's the people from the Eternals run just doing another book. This one, as you can see, is a misprint, and we've got just a damaged copy that's sort of warped over. Okay, Diamond. But the comic itself, it centers around, if you can't tell from the cover, the birth of Thanos, which has always bothered me. I never really liked the birth of Thanos, where the mom just sort of goes crazy and hates Thanos, and is probably the reason that he's the way he is. And granted, the father does, he sees how the child falls too. And Kronos is not the best dad. We can always admit that. But I've always hated like the birth of Thanos, and we get it in all its glorious form, and it sucks. Well, it doesn't suck. The comic is good. It's a good comic. I shouldn't say it sucks. It's just an event that's never quite sat well with me, and I've never fully understood why. Yeah, it feels like child abuse. Anyways, so is the comic good? Yes, the comic's good. The art is good, but if you like the current Eternals run, you will like this. It's just an event that every comic reader knows, but I don't know a lot of kids that grew up with comics that really like that event. But it'll be here on our shelf. Next is Wong, Gallen, Bayruth, and Campbell. Oh God, I loved it so much. Agony was amazing. Now, was it as amazing as what did Scream become? Silence. Is it as amazing as the birth of Silence, the second Anti-Venom Symbiote? No, it's not quite that cool, but it's still pretty cool. Is this the same Agony we've always had? It's a different host, isn't it?
Yeah.
She's brutal and fun. I like her. She's clearly the counter to Cletus Cassidy's Carnage. More importantly, we get the reveal as to who Carnage is. Rather, Flash Thompson puts together the reveal as to who Carnage is. But we knew from the beginning, and I didn't think it was hidden. Was it hidden? I didn't think it was hidden at all, but somehow, like, everybody else didn't know. And I thought it was pretty clear right away. But okay, so we get the big reveal. You know who it is. If you don't know, I'm not going to spoil it for you. But if you don't know, I don't know. Like, how did you not figure it out? But anyways, the rest of the comic is amazing. The art is outstanding. The storyline's really fun. I love the look of Agony. She's a symbiote that I don't see enough of, in my opinion. So we're going. This entire comic centers around her and sort of her look. I wouldn't say it's her new look. Doesn't the cover look like she has a new look? Like a very carnageized look, right? But the OG is just that overly purple symbiote, and that's what we get. Is it fun? Yes, it's fun. Anything that has, Carnage belting out is pretty fun to me. Next is Fantastic Four, 60 years, issue number 35. Yes, you are getting a giant trade paperback worth of comic. But what do you get in this? You get about 4 or 5 stories. One centering around everybody's favorite blue-eyed thing. And I like that story. I think the first story was much better, in my opinion, which centered around the Council of Kangs. And, whenever the Council of Kangs gets together, it's a bit fun. And I'm happy to say I read this entire book, and I don't think I saw the mention Yancey Street once. Yeah, which I fully expected in a 60-year Fantastic Four.
Well, that's just that whole run that he's mentioned.
Yeah, Dan Slott loves mentioning Yancey Street every other page. I didn't see it even once, not one Yancey Street. Keep in mind, I expected it in this issue, so I don't know. But okay, is it good? Yeah, it's great. If you're a Fantastic Four fan, you are loving the Slott run, and honestly, if you're a Fantastic Four run, you will absolutely eat this up and have a good time. 4 separate stories, or maybe 5, and separate artists. And I think the last artist like blew me away, even though the story was just okay. But next book, this is Jude Ellison, S. Doyle, and A.L. Kaplan. And I'm going to tell you right now, Ma is an amazing book. The art is amazing. The story is really, really good. But if you are a person who gets triggered by certain topics, this story does center around a 2-time rape victim. 2-time. And the depths that she and her friend will go to get vengeance, which involves sort of being empowered by a magical, what seems to me as a magical coven of witches. And so it's intriguing. It's a story that I haven't seen stories go like this dark very often. And then to the lengths that it'll go. I haven't seen a story that's quite like this. I liked it. I'm having a good time with it. The art is great. The story is great. It went in a direction I didn't expect. But again, like if you have trouble with topics like that, or if you yourself have dealt with issues like that, this is not the book for you. Maybe pick it up and thumb through it if you feel like you want to brave it. But is it a good book? It's a great book. Honestly, amazing. What happened?
They didn't have a match.
Oh, well, then get out.
Yeah, that's what they did. They're like, oh, we don't have a match together.
Yeah, then get out. Yogi just anyways, it's more. So yeah, the book is great. Next is Williams, Wernick, and Delgado, and we're talking about X-Men: The Trial of Magneto. I am so happy with how this turned out. Now, we have seen that Magneto, well, he didn't kill the Scarlet Witch, but something else is going on. We think he didn't kill her, right? Relatively. Do you think he didn't kill her, or do you think he killed her? I don't think he killed her. I think he's been framed. But there is some chaos going on, some wild stuff going on. He doesn't want to reveal what's happening. And there are some amazing Magneto fights in this so far. There have been at least 3, right? 2 or 3? We're only on issue 2. No, there's only been 1. It just feels like there's been tons. The first issue had a giant fight, and then Magneto got taken down. This one, too, will also have a giant fight. I would expect nothing less from Magneto, honestly. The general mystery is, some of it is going to be revealed, not entirely, but we are going to see the Avengers show up at Krakoa. But one thing that didn't sit right with me was they were like, oh, let's give you a tour of the island. But the Avengers have been to Krakoa already. For Hellfire Gala.
I thought they never left.
Like, yeah, I remember now.
I don't know. Like, I'm not sure. They show up.
I thought they were.
They pretty much show up to get her remains, and they.
I thought they were like controlling business, like stopping her from doing something like stupid.
But I don't know. They show up at Krakoa and they start getting a tour, and I was like, but they were just there.
Right.
So okay. Anyways, that little thing aside, is the story good? Yes, the story is great. It went in a direction I did not expect, like 2 directions I did not expect. This is Williams, Wernick, and Delgado. The art is amazing. Cam, you will be blown away. That's all I'm going to say. You're going to be blown away by what happens in this. Is it good? Yes, it's great. Next is Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters. This is Found, and this centers around Boosh. Now, is that how you pronounce it? Boosh? Bosh? Bosh? Boosh? I never knew how to pronounce it. If you don't know who this is, but it looks familiar, this is the bounty hunter that Princess Leia was disguised as when she went to go rescue Han. Now, that is a species called, what are they called? Ubets? Ubates? I'm not sure. But basically, their planet is very isolationist. And this centers around, well, a group of them who have been shunned by the planet and forced to leave. And they've sort of decided to work together and form their own family, a family of bounty hunters. And at first I looked at it and I was like, oh, good, it's the Bounty Hunter Power Rangers, because they have all different colors. And I brushed it off as like, oh, this is going to be another, like, maybe just a throwaway tie-in or something. I am surprised. I had a great time with this comic. I loved everything about their brotherhood. It sang a lot to me as a veteran, as an infantryman. And the links they went to protect one of their own was great. It is a great, great story, and it centers around some lesser-known characters. So if you're a Star Wars fan, I would say don't skip this. This is probably going to be my Star Wars pick of the week. Let's just say that. What is my... Oh, okay, it's that. Yeah, it's that. Okay. Next book, Cantwell, Unzueta, and Darmada, and we're talking about Iron Man, issue number 12. Now, Iron Man, what a run. All the stuff that has happened to him. And currently, he's got a broken back. He can't take off his suit. He can't even open his helmet. I think... No, he can't open his helmet now. He's healed a little bit.
But the suit comes off, he dies.
Yeah, the suit comes off, he dies. Meanwhile, he's using his suit to inject him with morphine. He was 61 and had cancer. I didn't know Norm Macdonald had cancer. So, yeah, Iron Man is doing the, I'm giving myself a giant level of morphine to handle things. And he's very happy to be trapped on a a giant starship that's trying to kill them called the World Ship. While he still deals with the guy who wants to become a god. So, there is so much wildness in this run. Is it good? Yes, I'm having the best time. The art is stellar, and I'm not using that because he's actually in space. I mean, it really is stellar art. The art is top tier. The story is really, really fun. It's gone in directions I didn't expect. And the way this ended was really, really, really shocking, but very Tony Stark. And that's all I'm going to say. It's not the full end. I think the run is continuing, but the way this comic in particular ended. Meanwhile, Rhodey and Hellcat and all them are trying to sort of get onto the spaceship and help out, and that's fun to see too. It's great. Next is Dugan and Noto, and this is the Marauders. Now, I'm going to say this one time. I have not seen this happen to any of these characters quite like this. So the Marauders do like flounder and do miss a step, right? That's true. But usually if somebody misses a step, it's one of them. Emma will occasionally be led into a trap. Sebastian Shaw gets outplayed usually by Emma. And we saw, Kate Pryde literally die because she got outplayed by Sebastian Shaw. So that does happen. They get outplayed, but usually it's to them. I'm going to say, reading this, you're going to see something. It's a little bit spoilery, so if you don't want it, just mute it for a second. But you're going to see all three of them get played in perhaps the worst, most unexpected way. And it was awesome. Messed up, but awesome. You should not skip this. Honestly, Jerry Dugan, everything you write these days is just outstanding. This is no different. It's amazing. Next, look, I'm going to call it and say this is my pick of the week. But there was a close second. It was two books that were neck and neck. This is Evan Narcisse, German Peralta, and Jesus Abertov, and this is The Last Annihilation, Wakanda. Now, why is this my pick of the week? Well, one, it's a very Black Panther book, and I'm not just saying that. It's Shuri and him butting heads, M'Baku, agreeing to help out, but a bit reluctant at times, and then doing what absolutely needs to be done. It is Storm saying the wildest of one-liners that are just quite beautiful. There is so much good in this book, but more importantly, the art is outstanding. And the story, man, do you remember that tie-in to King in Black that had so much action and was it was a one-shot, Cam, but it was the Black Panther Wakanda Forever King in Black one-shot?
Yeah,
do you remember that? How amazing that book was with that much action? This is on the same level. Now, does it have the same plan like Shuri's plan did? Not quite. The plan is not as good. I mean, they're dealing with annihilation. They can't solve it all at once. It wouldn't work out. But is it good? Yes, the story was outstanding. Really, really good. And even though they tapped some elements of the interstellar Wakanda war stuff, which I'm not the biggest fan of, I still had the best time. There is literally so much action. There is, honestly, I think it starts page 2 or 3, and then the action just does not let up. It just goes and goes and goes and goes. And it's just a cast of characters that I honestly love. So this is my Marvel pick of the week. Do not skip this book. It was outstanding. A really, really good book. My next book is my second almost pick of the week. Almost, right there. Kelly, Lansing, Magno, and Grimsjern, and this is Kang the Conqueror. But more importantly, this centers around with Kang dealing with himself, which is, what's his name, Ramatut? I can never remember that iteration of Kang, but it's him dealing with himself. And we find out a couple of things. First of all, I didn't know, and maybe this is a separate timeline, but I didn't know that Kang, should I spoil it? I shouldn't spoil it, huh?
Was it that one spoiler?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it. I don't want to spoil it for you
That one
guys.
that we were talking about in a different context.
Well, it's kind of a wild reveal. I will say that this issue does have Khonshu in it, and if you know who Khonshu is, you know how excited I get about like a certain character. But it revealed something, that one of the early Moon Knights was not who I thought it was. More importantly, it might actually reveal that there might have been another sort of Iron Man at one point that I didn't quite expect. You need to really read this book. It is surprising, and that's
Like,
to say the least.
NBC.
People need to read this book. We need to be discussing this. So do not skip it. It's wicked cool. The art is amazing. The story is really, really fun. Honestly, it's a wicked, awesome story. You just need to see it to believe it. It's wild. Good showing. Next is going to be my indie pick of the week, without a doubt. This is the wildest book I never thought would be my pick of the week. It's not even technically it's a comic, but it's weird. Image has done something weird here. This is Man-Eaters the Cursed, issue number 3. This is Chelsea Kane and Leah Mitternick. Now, we know that the first comics centered around, well, there was two camps on an island. One camp was football camp, and the other camp turned out to be witchcraft camp, and a bunch of counselors got shrunk, and the main characters were trying to figure out how to solve this situation, and it was wild, and it was intriguing, and it was unexpected, and the art was outstanding. They went even further and gave us some wicked immersion, and this is Witchcraft for Children, but this issue is not technically a comic. It has a note where somebody gets accepted to Camp Craft, which is the witchcraft camp, and then the entire book is a sampler magazine on, well, witchcraft for children, and it reads like a highlights magazine with witches influences, and it reminded me of old magazines back in the day, and it was well delivered. And come on, there's an advertisement in this for the Book of Shadows on cassette tape. I loved every single thing about this book. It was just outstanding, and I thumbed through it and read a couple pages because I got a speed read. But I want to sit down and just read this whole thing because I don't know. It reminds me of like Mad Magazine, but with witches at times. It's just a cool read. Now, is it technically a comic? I mean, it's serialized literature. It's done in comic book form, but I mean, you're not getting panels. You're not getting action in here. You're sort of getting a parody of old magazines, but it's cool. And my immersion for that story has stepped up to like 11. Oh God, it's outstanding. So I'm gonna say this is my indie pick of the week. And yeah, it's weird and not normal, but trust me, it's great. Next is Thompson, Delatorre, and Belair, and we're talking about another book that honestly is just outstanding, and that is Black Widow, issue number 11. Man, it's only number 11. She's been through so much, and wow. If you haven't been paying attention, she's reunited with Yelena, and her and the White Widow are sort of putting together a team, which I like the makeup of this team. Meanwhile, well, let's be honest, Black Widow's not much of a team player, so this is going to be some effort. We're going to see some button heads. And the art is outstanding. The story is great. They're still trying to get to the bottom of this. Meanwhile, they meet a set of twins who have the most interesting of powers. I can't really talk about it without spoiling it, but I really feel like that alone is worth the price of admission. It was kind of cool to see. And I think it's loosely inspired by another Marvel hero. You really, really need to read that book. Outstanding job. Do not skip. Next is Carla Pacheco, Perez, Frank D'Armata. My God, this is another character who has been through a lot. This is only issue 15, Cam, of Spider-Woman. And I almost skipped this week. Do you remember? And you talked me into this.
I mean,
Don't skip it. Well, I mean, we sort of see some things revealed. There are some other Spider Family characters that are going to suit up in this that I don't think we've seen before. Meanwhile, well, her friend is back. Is it her friend? I think it's her friend. Yeah, her babysitter, actually, who has adopted that dog that is crossed with human genes that, like, was her mom's. There's so much weirdness. Like, Spider Woman has gone through a tornado of chaos, and my God, has it been a good read. And this is no exception. This is an amazing read. There's nothing wrong with it. The art is great. The story is great. Honestly, I really love how they do the paneling in Spider Woman. Like, when it's chaos, and when it's like a montage, like they really sort of blend everything together. It's so cool. And the way they even draw action is really, really cool. So issue 15, do not skip. If you are a Spider fan, you will love Spider Woman issue 15. Next is Hellboy and the Vprd, 1957. Family Ties. This is Mike Mignola, Chris Robertson, Lawrence Campbell, and Dave Stewart. Now, I don't read Hellboy or any of the Vprd titles all that often. I have read old trades of Hellboy, but I don't remember them all that well. And Age Sapien, I've read those before, but I don't remember them. So it's not too often that I'll try and review one. But this one is a one-shot, and we're edging up on Halloween, so I figured, well, I'll give it a shot. The art is Hellboy-centered, Hellboy flavor. It's really good. I mean, I've always loved the art. The story it centers around, well, a house that's sort of dealing with demonic possession and them trying to get a book back that has caused this whole mess, and why you shouldn't reprint cultist books. Like, you just shouldn't do that. Evil books, you shouldn't give the Necronomicon a second print. Like, you just don't do that, man. Well, they're sort of dealing with the fallout of that, and honestly, it was a great read. It's a self-contained story. It's just a one-shot, but I had a really good time, and I would think if you're someone like me who is not that tapped into the vein of Hellboy or just can't flat out remember all this stuff, you could probably read this and be perfectly fine with it and have, honestly, a great time. And remember why I like these characters. One of the things I love about Hellboy is I can still see the panel, and it's kind of become a meme, but there's a Hellboy panel that has him yelling at some old lady where he's like, "Don't give me a hard time, lady. I've been drinking with skeletons." He's just holding a bottle of booze while he yells it. I love the character. I can't remember enough of those stories. I need to go back and read them. Next is Stan Sakai and Hi-Fi, and of course we're talking about Usagi Yojimbo. Now, I have talked before about how if you see certain characters, you generally know that there's probably a problem, and we know that Usagi's finally figured out who his cousin is, and he's hanging out with him. And meanwhile, there's a bunch of stuff going on in another Usagi title that might be tied into this. But we see two characters, not on the cover, but in the first page. He mentions them in passing and says, like, "Oh, I don't want anything to do with this person, like this woman that just rushed by." And I immediately knew it was the pickpockets. There are two thieves in the form of these two sisters, one older, one younger, and they're very difficult to deal with and have framed Usagi and Gen, I think, multiple times now. So anytime they show up, it's just bad news, and it's going to be a fun adventure. So yeah, the second I saw them mention, I know it was going to be a good read. But yeah, they're going to give Usagi headaches. It was fun. It was outstanding. Plus, I'm really loving that we get like actual colorful Usagis. I was not that spoiled growing up. They were always black and white. Next is Cavan Scott and Rachel Stott. We're talking about Star Wars, The High Republic Adventures. But more importantly, we're talking about the fact that there's a lot to unpack here. This is a Star Wars crossed with D&D story, which sort of makes sense because Star Wars itself is technically, it's high fantasy disguised as science fiction. So we're going to see a sort of D&D inspired story, it feels like, and it works. We're going to meet, there's at least one character, possibly two. And we found out more about this Jedi who has a pink lightsaber, who I already kind of love. As she's not actually a Jedi. She's what I think you could refer to this person, Yogi, as a gray Jedi. Just a Jedi that is sort of in between and has fallen out of favor with the Order.
Wasn't that the first Gray Jedi? Is that like the storyline for this one?
Is this the storyline for the first one?
I think it's the first Gray Jedi.
No.
Well, is it?
In the High Republic, my friend.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that. The first Gray Jedi. Oh,
dude, okay, cool.
Okay, so we're getting a cool part of history. Anyway, so it is a good story. Yes, it's a great story. We're going to be introduced to a potential Padawan of hers. We are also going to see some failures that the Jedi make, and anytime the Jedi seem flawed is always really, really fun to me. So I guess Cam says we're getting the first great Jedi story, and it's awesome. We actually do get to see some dark side powers in this that I have not seen before. Pretty cool. Next is a book I love, love, love. This is Phillips Lafuente, Faya, Samaria, and Muerto, and this is a really, really good issue of Harley centering around a really, really obnoxious villain that I've never seen before in the form of a character called Keepsake. Have you heard of a character called Keepsake? No. I have not heard of this character, and this character is sort of like about preserving villain artifacts and stuff like that. It's clearly, I don't know, it feels like a dig against comic collectors at times, but it is what it is.
Sounds like a character that should be on the Harley Quinn animated series.
Yeah, and that's what it feels like. It's sort of, and I don't really like him as a villain, but meanwhile, his Harley's sidekick currently, the guy with the clown tattoo, he's got to go and rescue her. And I actually had a really, really good time with this annual. It was not boring. There was plenty of action. It went in directions I didn't expect. It made me laugh a couple times. So it was a really, really good read. Not my DC pick of the week. And as far as villains go, I think Keepsake is a really annoying villain. But it's not bad. Next is, should I? No. Not quite my pick of the week. I know what is going to be my pick of the week. Almost my pick of the week. Like right there. I was about to pick it. Just not, it's almost. Franklin, Sarah, and Louise, and this is Harley Quinn, the animated series, the Eat Bang Kill Tour. Now, this picks up after the animated series, I think the last season, and it centers around, well, Harley and Poison Ivy, the recently newlyweds, and she has, Poison Ivy has broken the heart of Kite Man.
Yeah.
Kite Man just can't get a win, man. Never gets a win. But he's my favorite campy villain, honestly. I have a soft spot for Kite Man, and that's partially because of King's sort of modern reiteration on Kite Man's origin story, which was really heartbreaking. But is it a good story? Yes, it's a good story. And as you can imagine, somebody breaking somebody's heart, but also falling in love at the same time can be kind of a mood swing. And we get all of that. And it feels like the animated series. To include Harley flipping off Commissioner Gordon, which honestly is hysterical to me. So if you need an answer for the animated Harley and you're looking for something that's good on our shelf, it is this. It was almost my pick of the week. Not quite. Right about there. Next is Tom King, George Fornes, and Dave Stewart, and this is issue number 12 of Rorschach. Now, we saw that he had sold this as basically, here's what happened. A gal was tricked into tricking other men into believing they were the reincarnation of Rorschach, sort of. It's never fully clarified if they were tricked or if they were just sort of like went along with it. But they were very brutal and very similar to Rorschach. And maybe Rorschach is kind of an ideal that you sort of can't let go. But basically, those two people, which probably needed mental health, like counseling, were tricked into trying to assassinate the Democratic candidate. Unfortunately, the Democratic candidate, supposedly was tricked by Redford's campaign. It turns out the Democratic candidate was the one who masterminded the whole thing and actually did it to discredit Redford's campaign and was going to use this, to sort of, as a stepping stone to advance in the White House. And, the main character figured it out 2 issues back, but still sold it as, he knows that it was Redford's, group, so he could get in the room with the guy. And I'm pretty sure you can figure out what's going to happen from there. It's not... It's very, very Rorschach, and it's very Tom King and how poetic it can be at times. But I will say there were a couple takeaways that really sort of blew me away. The writing is really good. I honestly, though, with how some of the issues went with Rorschach felting out, it felt a bit anticlimactic. I didn't get as bloody of a fight as I wanted to see, which sort of bothered me, but it was okay.
It was the finale,
It was the finale, but I would have rathered a much bloodier scene. But okay, I didn't get that. What I did get at the end of this book was Tom King and George Fornes making a cameo appearance in the movie theater. Like the main character literally passes them in a movie theater, and I was like, wait a minute, I recognize those two. So they threw themselves in it, and I thought that was pretty cool. Was the story good? Yeah, it was good. It was just, I need to go back and reread it because it was such a wild storyline. It was just a bunch of chaos thrown together. It wasn't bad. It was just, it's as far as detective stories go, it was intricate, is what I'm gonna say. And I need to reread it. Was it good? Yes, it's good, and I think you will not be disappointed with the finale if you've been along for the ride. Next is Dancing with the Dragon. This is McKinnon, Casalanguida, Nestorenko, and Rodriguez. This is a weird book I didn't quite expect. This story centers around, well, and I think what I gathered was that this guy is yes? Yeah. The gate's down. Anyways, so it centers around an Irish limo driver that he winds up driving for a triad mob boss, and he doesn't have a lot of life opportunity. It seems like they're sort of a bit poor, and he sees an opportunity and takes it, and it might put him on a collision course with the triad. But it's kind of cool, and it was a lot of action. And although the story was, it was okay. It wasn't the best story. It wasn't the worst story. The art was really good. It went. I'm gonna say it. Like, I sort of saw it, like, the story coming before I finished it, is what I'm gonna say. It seemed a little telegraphed at a couple points, but I wasn't bored with it, and I don't think you will be either. As far as number ones go, you really can't go wrong with this. It's not the worst. I'm still confused about. Anyways, it's a good book. What? The gate is down. I know. Why would you still interrupt the video yelling if asking if we're open if the gate is down? Yeah. I don't understand. People see cameras and they assume that you're some like famous YouTuber, and really you're just a guy with like 100 subscribers trying to do reviews for his comic shop. And then they gotta interrupt. The gate was down. Okay. Next is Williamson Cover and Milo Giannis, and we're talking about Future State Gotham. Future State Gotham, not my favorite of the Future States, and I haven't hidden it. And Cam, I did like the last couple issues. This one,
The last couple, all of them have been kind of like.
I think the last one was okay though, right? I liked the action of the last one. This one, not so much. Wasn't my favorite book, and I'm still can't get over the fact that they're doing a black and white DC comic in 2021. But okay. We get past that. The art's okay. It just for 2021 sort of feels unfinished, and the storyline is not all that fun. We do get to see I believe a Red Hood. Who is he fighting?
Is Red Hood fighting?
Oh, I can't. Oh no, it's next Batman fighting Future State Red Hood. It's okay. It's okay. Nothing to write home with. If you feel like you need another Batman title in your life, that Future State Gotham will be on our shelves. Not my favorite book though.
It doesn't even tie into Fear State, huh?
It doesn't even tie into Fear State really. It's not. I'm not liking it. Next is Morrison, Janine, Foreman, Belair, and Sinclair. And this is Superman and the Authority, issue number 3. And look, okay, I had it all wrong. We thought, I didn't like the team felt awkward, did it not, Kim? It felt awkward. The Superman felt a bit more brutal than the Superman I know.
I also felt like he was losing like his powers.
He was definitely losing his powers.
Like picked people that could,
sort of work
atone for whatever power that he uses.
So it's just a weird story, and it was put together by Grant Morrison, who, in my opinion, is kind of the king of weird. I didn't like the first title. The second issue I thought was okay. I was kind of coming around. The third issue centers around them rescuing Enchantress from hell and going from there. and I loved it. I honestly had an amazing time with this book. It felt way more put together. Grant Morrison suddenly like parted the weird, and I started to kind of get a sense of what he's doing, and I wasn't bored with it. It was honestly a great read. The art was amazing. I never had anything to complain about the art. The story was pretty damn good, and we do know that he's sort of dealing with what's the gorilla with the brain thing?
Oh, Monster Molly.
Monster? No.
Yeah.
It's like Humanite or something. Or,
Oh, he's got a big ass head, right?
I can't remember his name, dude.
I think it might be Humanite.
Is it Humanite? It's something like that. But anyways, the not Gorilla Grodd, Gorilla sort of Brainiac Gorilla.
Not Grodd and not Monster Molly.
Yeah, he's dealing with that one, and I don't know. It's not my favorite villain, but I don't hate it. Honestly, the team he's put together is kind of fun. At one point, after they rescue Enchantress, all I'm gonna say is that the Midnighter's man, like Enchantress, like outright flirts with him, and then and Midnighter's like, "Yeah, good luck with that, lady." And I love that line. It's so good. I honestly had a really great time with this. I'm saying that as somebody who's super critical of the first two issues. They put it together. Grant Morrison sort of pulled it out of the fire, and it's a good read. Next is Titans United. This is Scott Luis, Trinidad Locust. This is going to be my DC pick of the week.
What?
It was out friggin' standing for a lot of reasons. I mean, it's kind of mostly the OG Titans team.
It's actually the team from the show. Right?
Yes, and Jason Todd and Nightwing taking digs at each other is really, really fun. Beast Boy flirting with every gal in sight, honestly, makes sense. Is this the Titans team from the show, the exact one?
It's the lineup from the show.
Oh, it's the lineup from the show. It was really fun. There was a lot of action. We're going to get a general mystery centering around the character. And what happens to this person didn't surprise me, but we'll see if it plays out exactly how I think it plays out. But is it a good read? Yeah, it's outstanding. And I don't know. We do see a fight between Connor and Red Hood at one point.
Oh.
Which, in my opinion, plays out almost exactly like a fight between Guy Gardner and Batman. If you know the event I'm talking about, you'll know what happens. It was great. I had a really good time with it. So Titans United, honestly, pick of the week. But more importantly, I will say the end of this comic, one of my most favorite campy villains does get some love. So yeah. Honestly, it was a great read. I can't wait for issue number 2. Next is Tomasi, Stanley, and Guerrero, and this is Challenge of the Super Sons. We saw that the Super Sons had a scroll, and they had to save all the DC heroes, but not like let them know that they were being saved. And eventually, it showed their symbol combined. So the House of L combined with the Batarang, and they knew they were in trouble, and they were the next that had to rescue themselves. So we see them go up against Vandal Savage and Faust, and it's a really, really good fight. But I'm having the best time with the Super Sons run, and nobody else is, because nobody else is buying it. What is wrong? The art is amazing. The story's really fun. I don't understand why people aren't buying it, but it is what it is. Next is, oh my God. So I picked that as my pick of the week, the Titans United, but this is such a close second. Oh. Ridiculously close second. Like, it honestly is right there. Ridley, Copiel, and Sinclair, and we're talking about I Am Batman. But really, what are we talking about here, Cam? We're talking about the next Batman and his year 0. And oh God, it was so good. Him just sort of cruising around Gotham on a motorcycle, him fighting villains with extendable batons, him proving that he's a very different Batman to Bruce Wayne, but in a lot of ways very similar in how just, I don't know, the razor's edge he can be at times. And it was a really, really good read. I was entertained. There was so much action. And I'm saying that, like, I don't know, man. Him in Future State was kind of a disappointment.
We were critical about the whole Future State thing. It was like that. Like, we all know that Bruce We both know that Bruce Wayne made those mistakes he was making.
Yeah, in Future State, he made a lot of mistakes. But that's part of why I liked him. But I didn't like how in Future State Justice League, like he just left and didn't investigate, and Joe went to work. And granted, I love Joe for that, but I was like, you're freaking Batman. Like you should be investigating too. But he's a different type of Batman. And is it good? Yeah, it's really, really good. This is what I wanted from the next Batman run, like this here. And granted, I know that was building up towards this, but we finally got it, and it's outstanding. It's a really, really good read. Him running around in the suit, like his first night with the suit, was so awesome. Next is Bendis, Hester, and Hi-Fi, and this was honestly a really, really good read too. Although I will tell you flat out, I'm not liking the art, and I'm not sure why. This is Justice League. The art to me, I don't know, it doesn't feel right for whatever reason, and we've gotten used to this other artist on Justice League. I think Hester took over 2 issues back. I'm not liking it very much, but they're dealing with Sinmar, who again is a Bendis villain that I don't like much. I think Sinmar and Leviathan, both red-faced villains that just annoy the crap out of me. I don't like either one of them. Throw them both away, Bendis. But okay, they're dealing with it. We did see Justice League headquarters fall hard to Sinmar, and we are seeing how the villains are dealing with him. Keep in mind, Sinmar is a villain that if you attack him and you throw power at him, he will grow more powerful. He just does that. He absorbs whatever is thrown at him, and even though you beat him down, he gets up more powerful. So he's a Saiyan. Sinmar is essentially a Saiyan. Is it my favorite villain? No. Was it my favorite Justice League comic? No. It was okay. It felt like they built up this giant fight. They destroyed Justice League headquarters. And then when the fight got resolved, I was like, eh. So it's an okay book. If you're a Justice League fan, I think you'll like it. Not my favorite. Next is Wilson, Gedeon, and Roush, and we're talking about Pennyworth, issue number 2. Now, this centers around Alfred sort of running around in his first years as an espionage agent with a rather pretty gal. And at the same time, Alfred is also tied up and sort of waiting to be rescued by a buddy who he used to just send him signals every day to let his buddy know that he was okay. And I think that takes place in the events of City of Bane. And so it's really, really dark and pretty twisted. We know how City of Bane ends for Alfred, and it's not a happy ending. So yeah, it cuts a little deep. Now, is it a good read? Yeah, I had a great time with it. It's just it keeps hitting me home because I'm like, oh, I know how this ends, and it's gonna break my heart. Anyways, but it's good. It's good. Next is a book I really, really loved and almost picked for my pick of the week too, and that is Tinian, March, and Prianto, and this is Joker issue number 7. Now, there is so much to take away, and I don't know how I can say this without spoiling it. I can't spoil it. There is a certain character that has been tapped that we don't see very often, very often at all. I think we've seen her, I don't know, 3 or 4 times that in the current iteration of DC. Yeah. In the current iteration of the current universe for DC, we've only seen her 3 or 4 times, but she gets tapped. Meanwhile, we do know that the Court of Owls was involved, right? Everybody agrees the Court of Owls was involved. That's not a spoiler. We knew they were involved. We are going to see Talon attempt to attack some of the Bat Family characters. Unfortunately for Talon, Orphan is there. Now, if you are not well-versed on the Bat Family, Orphan is a fighter who is better than Batman. Batman freely admits that Orphan could probably beat him in a fight. So,
her mother's the best hand-to-hand specialist
in DC Universe, yeah. So, her going up against Talon is kind of funny. It's like Talon didn't plan that right and is clearly gonna get beat, and it's great. So I had a good time with that. Meanwhile, Gordon has been framed by the Joker, but not everything is as it seems. He might be arrested in the last issue, but we'll see how that plays out. It's a great read, and we've also got Bane's daughter running around as the new Bane, just completely pissed off. And there's just more revealed in this issue, a lot revealed in this issue. I can't talk more about it without spoiling it, but it was a really, really great read. And if you're a DC fan, you will love this. You should have already been on board with this the whole time. It's so good. Next is, well, Batman Urban Legends, and this is Batman Beyond, Future State, and Batman 666, and DC 1,000,000. Yes, we do get Nightmare Batman. We do get Batman Beyond, and the Batman Beyond story is really, really touching. Now, is it as touching as that Red Hood story was to me? No, but I'm a bigger Red Hood fan than I am a Batman Beyond fan. But something that happens during the Batman Beyond run was kind of a tearjerker, and I don't know. I mean, I guess we should all see it coming, but it is what it is. That happens then, so that one was a good read. The other books, honestly, were not my favorite, if I'm honest. The other stories were okay, and I get it. Like, we need new stories for Batman Urban Legends because we reached the climax of the first 6. So, okay, we've got new stories, but I'm not fully sold on a couple of these. That first story, the Batman Beyond story, sold. And that's worth buying the book for over. The other two were okay. I will say that there is a Batman that I don't recognize. Oh, no. There is a Batman orphan story in this. It's really good that I had a good time. Yeah. And then there is so that story is good. So there's 2 good stories. But there is a Batman story at the end of this book that is a Batman that I don't know. And I'm not the biggest fan of his power set. And I say that literally, his power set. It's a weird Batman. I need more people to read it, and we need to discuss. But to me, it feels like if somebody can do this, Batman himself is already OP, okay? If you're a Bat Family character, even without powers, you are already OP. Everybody knows this. So you don't need to do what this character did. And I'm not comfortable with it. I need to discuss it. But whatever. It is what it is. I guess it's a gadget. It's just a ridiculously OP gadget, is all I'm going to say. Hem! Quinones, Ito, we're talking about Batman 89. Now we know this is leading to Two-Face. You cannot introduce Harvey Dent with a perfect face and not see this coming. We all know it's coming. What I didn't see coming was that there was a Robin in play. And the Robin that got tapped is not the Robin I expected. Yeah, so
backstory about that one.
Yeah, I mean.
So you know that Michael Keaton's Batman was supposed to be like a quadrillion, right? Before they decided to change it. And
Yeah.
And Tim Burton left.
Yeah.
Dick Grayson wasn't supposed to be his first Robin.
Who was it supposed to be?
Marlon Wayans was supposed to be that Robin.
So Marlon Wayans was supposed to be this Robin, but I was reading it, I was like, oh, and you know what other character it looked like? Another Robin, but not technically Batman's Robin.
Right.
So I got all excited because he really does have like the similar color scheme.
Right.
So but it was cool. Like I really thought it was amazing. Batman 89 is awesome, but if you grew up and that was like your first real Batman movie, obviously this is gonna hit home. Yeah, it's gonna hit home. Next is a book I didn't think I'd like, and it was weird but good. Ed Cho, Lee Chirolis, and Ginger D. I thought this was gonna be way too cartoony to like appeal to me because you look at that cover and it's like a Saturday morning cartoon crossed with anime, and the art is like that. But I grew fond of the art as I read through it. The story itself is strange. It's sort of a fantasy town that is building towards a cucumber event. I think like a cucumber fest or something. Meanwhile, a bunch of magic happens with spirit animals, and a bunch of people are also sort of training. So it's fantasy flavor, and it's also kind of a slice of life. And for whatever reason, it really worked to me. Like one of the main characters is like manning a store in this fantasy town and sort of selling goods and goods. And it was honestly a great read. And there's a genuine mystery as to what is going on with this animal that seems to be causing bad vibes or some sort of evilness in its presence. I was not bored, and it intrigued me, and I wanted to know more. And the art really grew on me. And I'm saying that like I can get it. If you look at this cover and you're like, oh, it looks a little too kiddish for me, but I picked it up and thumbed through it, and actually got hooked. So good showing. Honestly, not my indie pick of the week, but a close second. It was honestly pretty good. And then what was my DC pick of the week? Teen Titans. Titans United. That's right. Titans United. My indie pick of the week was Man-Eaters: The Cursed, issue number 3. It was a weird book, but it was my pick of the week. And then my Marvel pick of the week was Black Panther Wakanda Annihilation. So, all good books. That's our show for this week. We will see you next week. We love you guys. Thank you for joining us. Anything else to add, Yogi? No. Bye, Green Machine friends. Ben's fun.
Pick up your books.
Pick up your books. Please. Pick up your books. Please.